For this demonstration, we are going to create a hosted feature layer in ArcGIS Online from the ground up. The first place we want to be is this Content tab here in this upper white menu. From here, we can see all of the items in our ArcGIS Online organization that we own or are related to us. And if you look over here in the upper left-hand corner, there is this new item button. We will click on this. And from here, you could drag and drop or navigate to a folder on your device to find a zipped shapefile or a zipped geodatabase. Things like that can also be pulled in here to help you create hosted feature layers, but we want to build this from the ground up in ArcGIS Online. So we are going to choose this feature layer option here. When I click on that, you can see I have a few other options. I could use an Esri template, which would be different layers that are already defined and already have fields associated with them. Or I could define my own layer, and I'm going to choose to define my own layer and then click Next. Here's where I can come over here on the right and I can choose a point, line, polygon. I could do a multi-point layer or a table. I'm going to leave this as a point layer, and I am going to name this wildfire hazard types. And this layer is going to help me identify different wildfire hazards within communities in the region that I live in to help see where mitigation can occur to help reduce the risk of wildfires. I could choose to add a high accuracy GPS receiver to my Field Maps application. And in doing so, I would want to enable these GPS metadata fields because that high accuracy receiver would then send automated information from the receiver into the about 18 different fields that are auto-populated when you choose this. But I am going to leave this disabled and then click Next. Here is where you can choose the location of your layer. I am going to create a new folder and name it Wildfire Mitigation. And then I will click this blue check mark, and that folder already exists. So I'll just say Wildfire Mitigation 2 and then click the check mark. Here is where you can add tags. And what tags do is allow you to find different features or different items, maps, whatever it may be within your content by searching for keywords. So tags can be pretty convenient if you take the time to create them. I'm just going to create one. It's wildfire mitigation, and then I hit the return key to make sure that that was accepted within the tags. I could also add a summary, but for the sake of time, I'm going to leave that blank and click on the Save button. Now, once this feature layer is created, we'll be taken to the item's overview details page. And on the overview details page, I could further add a description that helps define the history and the lineage of this data set, maybe how it's maintained, when it's updated, who maintains it, who updates it. But for now, I'm actually going to leave that description blank. You'll see here that the layers included in this hosted feature item is just a single layer, which is the point layer I just created. If this were a group layer, there could be multiple layers here, but we only have the one. The next thing I need to do is define my data fields. So I'll come up to the top, and in the upper right, I will choose this data tab. The first thing you'll see is that there's no data found in the data table, and that's because we don't have any features yet associated with this hosted feature item. I'm going to click here on the Fields tab option on the left. The object ID field is always created by default. And then over here in the upper right-hand corner is this Add Field option. I'm going to click on that to add my first field. From here, you can see I have the option of starting a text field, maybe a number field, and in the number, I could choose double, integer, whatever I need. But I am going to create a text field, so I'll choose string from that text field option, and then I will click Next. Here is where I can define my field name. I'm going to type in hazard type without any spaces, and then I'm going to type in hazard type with a space for the display name. I don't need 256 for my length. I'm going to change that to 25. I do want to allow null values. And then I'm going to leave these optional fields blank. I could define this field here, put a little description. I could come down to this drop down and I could say, oh, this is a type or category, and maybe I'll just do that. And then I'm going to click on Add Field. Once this field is added, you'll see it added to the list of fields, but now I want to view the details about this field. So all I need to do is click on that field and the field details open on the right. Here is where I can come in and create a domain choice list. A domain choice list is going to help you standardize your data values and it will increase your accuracy because there won't be freehand typing. And we all know that manual data entry often has different issues associated with it. So I will click on this Get Started button here. Here you can see that I could import domain values from a CSV. I could find values already existing in a field and then create unique domain values from the already existing ones. Or I could enter the values manually. I am going to choose to enter these values manually and then click Next. Here is where I will create the label for each domain value and then the coded stored value. The display value is going to be what end users see when they're updating data sets. The stored code for a text string could be the same exact text string as your display value, or it could be something shorter that would help decrease the data storage or could help when it comes to creating statistical summaries, whatever that might be. I'm going to go ahead and add some hazard types here. Vegetation piles are fuel for wildfire. If there is steep topography, then that can increase the speed and intensity of a fire. If there are propane tanks close to the house, knowing where those are will be important if a wildfire is coming through. If there are dead and down trees, these will be important to get rid of and help mitigate to decrease the risk of wildfire. And then there could be debris piles. So I'm going to use these as my drop downs. I just sort of came up with these on the fly. Of course, these would probably be different if I were actually creating this for a wildfire preparedness project. I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. And now you can see that I have this domain list of 5 values. That will be the values that I can choose when I go and update these features that I'm creating. I could also add another field, and this one could be maybe open comments. We'll say comments associated with those hazards. I'll leave the length and I'll just add that field. So now you can see that I have 2 fields associated with my new layer. There are other settings associated that you'll need to look at in the settings, such as the delete management, edit settings, etc., but those we'll cover in another demonstration video.